Hello, welcome to the stream. My name is Eiríkur. I am the lead level designer for the Echoes of the End. I'm going to be playing a bit through chapter 5 today, answering some questions and just talking generally about like the thoughts and decisions when we were making this level, showing some insights into the process, and yeah, just generally hanging around. So yeah, I'm gonna just start in chapter 5 here. So I'm gonna be showing Haven mostly. Yeah.
Are we assuming the seal is broken?
I don't know, but something definitely escaped from that sarcophagus, and the Dalsmen are moving in. Besides, that vestige still has core.
Yeah, so
we can't afford to fall behind.
I'm just exiting the caves from chapter 4. And then the real show begins. I'm playing on PC, so I'm playing on the internal dev build, so
there it is.
Haven.
Everything should be stable, but I wouldn't be surprised if something sneaks its way through.
As magnificent as I had imagined.
Come on. Chances are that Dalsmen are in there already.
Hello. Yeah, I see a few people in chat right now. Happy to have you along.
How familiar are you with Haven?
So a fun thing about the start of chapter I know ghost.
Not at all.
Oops.
And I'm just fine keeping it.
Yeah, fun thing about the start of chapter 5 is initially we wanted to get like a much further back look at the city. So I'm gonna do some dev cheating here to fly around. So the old start, I think it's still somewhere hiding around.
You should give it a try sometime.
From the level, we used to exit this door up here, and the fun thing is it is technically still up here. So what we do is we teleport you down, because we made a shot for the trailer and we just thought it was so much cooler down there. But yeah, this is sort of the old approach that you got to Haven. Big reason why we wanted to change it, it sort of just took away from the mystery of what was up in the city. It showed you a bit too much of the city. Like we did enjoy it because we got one of the best vistas of the game back then, which was we had like this huge zip lining section, and you sort of got to look down on the level itself, which we thought was pretty fun. But as soon as we saw how it looked with this new start, we knew we just had to change it. And this was like just before beta, so me and one of the environment artists, Chris, we just went in there and sort of tore everything apart, pulled it down, and were able to get it in a pretty functional state just before we had the game in beta. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. I'm really happy we did this change. And we had like this whole big like platforming section that was above here, and I just moved that into the end of chapter 4, and I think it really came together. How many chapters are there? So there are 10 chapters in the game. This is chapter 5, so they vary slightly in length. Most of them are just around an hour. Chapter 3 is definitely the longest chapter in the game. I think it's been taking people like an hour and a half a lot of the time. That was also one of the first chapters we worked on in the game, so it's sort of that got the most amount of change, so that's a huge one. But yeah, most of them are an hour-ish, hour or two, depending on like if you have the difficulty pretty high, combat might slow you down a lot, and puzzles can slow you down. So like, yeah, it's ranging from 1 to 2 hours each chapter. So we're aiming for like just over a 10-hour experience. So 10 to 15 is reasonable. yeah, we really wanted to go out of, like, we set the whole game in Iceland, but we wanted to go out and like show all the diversity in Iceland. So we wanted to show very different landscapes. We have like a snowy biome, we have this birch forest, like sort of woodlandy area. This would have been like, these birch forests used to be pretty common in Iceland before, you know, us people came here and decided to chop them all down and burn them. But there are still a few of these like old birch groves that we really love, and yeah, I think they came out pretty well.
I'm going to see if this thing works. Watch where you're standing.
So a big thing is with all the platforming and stuff, it became pretty apparent that poor Abram wasn't going to be able to do like everything Rin can do, because she's a pretty dynamic character. So we added this nifty little grappling hook, and it also allows us to separate Abram a bit from Rin, so giving you like more trust moments, giving him alternate paths, and letting him really like guide the sightlines of the player. So like now we made him run up to that ledge up there, so if a player gets lost, you can usually just find Abram in the environment if he's supposed to lead, and he can show you the path onward. So we do that a lot with enemies as well. So like if you see an enemy up ahead, you probably know that's the path.
Hold on. Let me go up here. Take my hand.
Do you block at the levels with the puzzles in mind at the very beginning? So yeah, every level gets like a full white box pass. We effectively, the entire game gets fully made in just a block out setting. So it's all going to be gray boxes, and every single puzzle gets its like feature complete pass before we sort of make the art. So you'll have a lot of like paint art by me and the other LDs, and then our environment artists sort of have to make sense of our designs, I guess. So sometimes it's been trickier than expected to make something, since we have a pretty like realistic art style to the game. It can sometimes be pretty tricky to get the right balance of like quirky, interesting puzzles and still having them grounded enough to be believable in the game.
I hear Dalsman. Get ready.
Slow, I hear. The specters are slowing progress.
So since I cheated, I'm gonna use my dev menu here to get some levels. Let's just get not achievements, clear,
Don't want her hearing any words of doubt.
debug. There we go. Progression. Let's just get, you should have around like 15, 16 skill points at this point. Or I'll just unlock all skills. Yeah, just for fun's sake, I'll unlock everything. So there's a lot of like the progression tree is like, we tried to make it pretty focused, so we didn't want to make too many big abilities that would sort of take away from the main journey. We want most players to unlock most of the skill tree by the end of the game, so we try to focus on what we could deliver as well. We like being a small 40-person team, just around 40 people. It was important that we didn't add like too much that we couldn't balance and just have the budget to make. Like we have one VFX artist, the poor guy, so he has had to make all the VFX for all the abilities. So we tried to like really hone in on stuff that we liked. So we didn't want to go too crazy with the skill tree, but we still have like, we wanted the player to really progress and feel like Rin is becoming more like of a vestige, letting herself play around with her own abilities instead of just being like this closed off person that's really afraid of what she is. So yeah, near the end of the game, you'll have a lot of fun, interesting abilities, like my favorite, the Vortex Slam. Oops. Oops, my god. this is the big boy Vanguard. I'm just gonna drain him for the health I lost.
Stragglers.
It is surprisingly
The rest of the force
difficult
can't be
to
far.
play a game
Come
and
on.
speak.
The bridge is
Let's
just
players
across
really
this gate.
really have it hard. The platforming and puzzles are great. I had zero issues with it. I think there's
Red,
plenty of adjustment
over
in
here.
combat section. Parries need more visual indicators and better windows. Yeah, so that is completely fair. I think you, like a lot of us, have played the game maybe slightly too much, so it becomes pretty like interesting to balance the game. I think I probably have like 3,000 hours in the game, so I'm probably the worst person to QA like difficulty, and the same goes for our enemy team, or like characters and enemies team, because we like obviously have to play it so much. But we got a lot of QA from our team at PlayOn and internally, and that's definitely something we will take away from this game and learn. And like we are trying to polish everything as much as we can. The combat system definitely has room for improvement. We're like, once you've played it a lot, you sort of get the feel for the parry windows and stuff like that. For me, I think Abram is my main parry, so I just mostly really enjoy using his stasis to interrupt the enemies and get those big attacks in. That's usually how I play him, but the parry is really OP once you sort of get the hang of it, I think.
I've got company.
Welcome to Haven. City of innovation. City of freedom. City of the dead.
She's alone. We might have a chance to talk to her away from Auric. Reason with her.
I already sent your commander running. Give me back my brother, and I'll let you do the same.
We couldn't. He's been far too valuable to us so far. If a little defiant.
I'm not giving you another chance.
Cosmetics is something that we really wanted to do, and it's something we like thought of initially, but sadly with the budget and just wanting to get the game out, I think that sort of we had to cut a lot of things that weren't just like focusing on getting the core experience through. So that's something, I think we sort of had to limit our scope in not adding too many like customizable things like cosmetics, but they definitely would have been great. I love cosmetics myself.
Looks like she isn't sticking around to finish the job.
I don't think she was trying to kill us. Just stop us.
That's one way to go about it.
This was the only path to the city. What do we do now?
Yeah, so we are patching
Find another way.
the
You know,
parry system early next
something
week,
is
so
bound
we
to
are
work
doing
out
like a
nothing.
combat patch,
I'm
I think
not
on
counting on
Tuesday
it.
next week. So that's going to be our first like big combat patch based on all the player feedback, which has been super nice to get. Like I said, being such a limited scope team,
There, along the wall.
we
Another elevator.
become so
That's our
blind
way
to
in.
like
It's
what
worth a
is
shot.
difficult,
But I doubt
since
it's
everything
any
sort of,
kind
you
main
learn it
dungeon.
so everything
Goes up.
becomes like
That's enough for me.
almost by instinct after playing that much. But yeah, we are really excited to get the first combat patch out. Correct me if I'm wrong, on Tuesday, Maki or Lindsay?
These damned creatures.
More Dalsman.
For the ragged door!
looks like it was just.
Yeah, so we are like a, like I said, pretty small team. So it's fun to say that me and two. So I have 3 brothers. 2 of them are also in the company. So my oldest founded it with 2 of his friends, straight out of university, and my brother has been. My younger brother has been in charge of the characters and enemies team. So he's been having a lot of fun in the last few months. With the animators coming up with all sorts of ways to brutally
They look like they're a stiff breeze away
take
from
out the
collapse.
enemies, as in the nicest way, playing around with all the decapitations and random execution animations going
I
around.
used to have a similar
That's
one.
been really fun seeing that finally getting added to the game, like in the final stretches.
It's too far to jump.
Ooh.
Ah!
Abram?
Phew! Almost slipped there.
So this chapter 5, was basically like the first chapter that really got feature complete when we were making it, and it sort of became our
Dishtar. Stay
Big.
behind me.
goalpost for the game, and eternally became like a nice reference point for how we wanted it to look and feel. And I'm pretty proud of. Yeah, I mean that execution is just perfect.
This
Those who
makes no
know
sense.
what it's
Shouldn't be
referencing,
good that this close to heaven.
kudos.
Seals should have kept them out.
You're right. Something's off here. Keep an eye out for now. Dishtar don't travel alone.
So we really wanted to make a bunch of the areas like bigger and let you explore a bit more, but as we sort of progressed through development, we found that we didn't really want to do a lot of filler content, like we said with the cosmetics. Like we didn't foresee us being able to do that like in a polished enough state where it wouldn't be detracting from something else. So we decided to limit the level scope to pretty much linear areas with like minor protrusions letting you find chests, which are mostly lore, and then we have the major collectibles, which
Doesn't look very stable.
increase your health and mana. But yeah, we decided to like narrow the scope to try to really get the most polish we could in what we felt like was necessary for the game. So that's why most of the levels are pretty linear in scope. And I think that
Taken their toll.
really helped us being able to finish this.
We'll have to find
Because I think if we would have really bloated it, we might have had to wait or try to find more funding to be able to finish the game, to be honest.
This crane could be useful. If I just clear this thing up.
So we have a bunch of these like little
Here we
environmental
are.
puzzles. Like this is mostly just like letting the player
There.
explore, look around, understand the environment. And then we have some much more complex puzzles, especially in this chapter. I think Up in Haven are some of my favorite puzzles in the game. So like the cipher puzzle and the statue puzzle, as we like to call it.
Lucky for us, this machine still works.
Now is
I
not the
think
time to jinx it.
The environment
Moran.
team just did such an amazing job citrusing this. Because like when I was blocking this out, it was all just neon green cubes and grey cubes scattered around everything, and like I wanted some ruins scattered around, but never could I have imagined it was gonna look this amazing.
Look at this view. Can you imagine the armies that once filled this valley? Men and women who had no idea.
So we
they would
populated like
die in a single month.
scenes that we really
You think
liked
the seal
with
killed them all?
these. We call them banter bubbles
Through the
or
very
like chat
spirit
bubbles.
of every living thing.
sort of just to give the player space to chill
The loss of the Empire
and get
suffered
like a
here
moment to
kickstart the events.
enjoy the crazy cool work of the environment
Different
artists.
the world might have
You
been.
get a bit of deeper lore.
Eobard
I think they
decided
work
to
really
sacrifice
well.
everything.
Like we wanted initially to have way more of this like constant dialogue happening during gameplay.
If this was all it
But
took to break the Empire,
with all the
it would've
platforming,
fallen anyway,
You sort of
sooner or
needed
later.
it to be
Maybe. But
on
maybe
completely
it
flat
would have been
ground
later
because
enough that
people really
might
wanted to
have known
focus on the
better by
chat,
then.
like chatter
They
of the
might not have
characters,
torn
and they
apart
wanted to
entire
progress.
countrysides for the sake
So
of a
like
dozen
limiting
aspiring
most of
kings.
it to one the
Or
boat
maybe
and
they just
these
have built even greater tools of
nice vista
destruction and even
locations.
less would remain.
It let the player
is,
experience
can't
the
learn it
dialogue
wouldn't
instead of
be.
having to just
You
stand
make a
still
decent scholar,
in
I
level,
know
like
that.
feeling like they were waiting for
I'll
the game to
pass.
continue.
But thanks.
We rather let them like opt in on a chill moment, which I think worked really well. So if we go up on this balcony here, we can see the Durtar down there, which are, funnily enough, voiced by Magnus in the chat and our composer, Viktor. They had a lot of fun screaming profanities in Icelandic. And obscenities. Yeah, I think they are my favorite
I
voiced
see
enemy,
them.
I would say. Oh, there you are. So that line that's coming between them, that's Abram's ability, and it makes two enemies like take the same amount of damage, so they like become tethered together. It's a pretty fun one. Abram's tree is honestly the strongest tree, I would say, and you really feel it like once you get used to using his abilities. When you, yeah, I'm not gonna spoil too much what happens later in the game, but yeah, you feel it especially like in boss fights that he isn't with you in. Of not being able to stun the enemy. Yeah, I just wanted to show the second chance ability from Abram. I definitely didn't die accidentally. Yeah, so we
I think that
scatter
was the
these like
last of
little hidden collectibles everywhere.
Damn things hit almost as hard as they fall.
And we usually try to put them in like locations where we want you to look around as well.
I've been thinking about that moment on the bridge. The sheer power it would take to destroy a structure like that.
And I would say like the main
You're a
idea we wanted to have, like the
Have
reason
you
we
ever
wanted to
seen
have the collectibles is just
Could you have done this?
one, give the player
No.
some reason to explore,
We
even though
both
the levels are
counts.
pretty like
If we're lucky,
narrow in
it drains
scope.
some of her energy.
Just getting to explore them
But we'll have to be
makes
ready
the
for
world
something
feel
like
so
that
much
when we
more-
catch up to her.
That's
like
one of
makes
the
it feel
counter
bigger.
town
Makes it
ever
feel like if Rin could climb through these invisible walls, there's like a whole real world for her to explore, and
Now
not
we've
just like
got a way up.
a corridor. And one of the like biggest compromises I think that we had to do, like from blockout to environment art, is like every single level was sort of made with these very rigid bounds. So like we had no invisible walls, but of course everything is super flat, and you really could feel the corridorness of the levels. Like everything felt like you were just running along like hallway. So like getting the art in, you really feel like you need to open them up a bit. So I would say like the blocking volumes were a necessary evil to make the levels feel as pretty or look as pretty as they are. It's something we sadly needed to do just for the budget. I think if we had like 2 more years to work on it, we probably could have gotten rid of every blocking volume, but such is the life of small studio. Are all the rock cliff meshes placed manually, or did you guys have a tool to do it quick? So, like, some of the landscape debris
What's
are
happening here?
non-manually placed,
I'm
but pretty
not
much
sure.
everything is manually placed in the
Let me
levels.
try something.
We have some like procedure foliage volumes and stuff that place stuff on the ground, but since it's such a linear experience, like most of the stuff just needs to be manually placed to feel right. So yeah, it's pretty much all hand placed. Like to see more environment art and world building related breakdowns. The game looks outstanding. Congratulations to the team. Yeah, so we have some breakdowns on our YouTube channel if you're interested. So we did like a photogrammetry breakdown. But yeah, getting like a environment artist sitting and like going through some of their pipelines, I think would be a really fun future idea. Something I can definitely try to get some of our artists to sit down and do. But yeah, good idea. So this is our illusion riff.
Aha! It's an illusion. Look,
Looks like there's an opening there.
try walking through. If I'm right, the illusion should give way before you.
Whoa. That's weird.
This is remarkable. Imagine things you could do with that. There may be more illusions ahead. I'm going to see if I can get a better vantage point.
See if you can find a way to get this door open while you're up there.
So in this puzzle, I really wanted to. So me and our narrative tech really wanted to like get a puzzle where you would get
stop!
like
Be
it would
careful.
just be a purely narrative
There's
puzzle
a lot of
in a
illusions
sense.
here. That walkway to the right is an illusion. Go left
So
onto that broken bridge.
the old way we did illusions, we wanted to have like you could see it through like glass. So there would be like one-way mirrors that would show you the illusions and stuff. They sadly didn't work well enough, but we got this super cool rift idea later down the line,
Over this way?
and I think it
Yes.
really
go
made
ahead
the
and
mechanic
cross
feel
over to the other side.
Whoa.
good. So we have like a lot of Easter egg lines in this puzzle. So if you don't listen to Abram and you just run around doing stuff he doesn't like, he'll be like, "Oh, you better be careful."
I did warn you.
Yeah. Just wanted to check it out for myself.
You have to be more careful with these illusions. We won't always be so lucky.
I think having gone through the game like so many times and the entire process, I think honestly my favorite part still is just the dynamic between Aldís and Karlagust, so our voice actors. Like we used to have the game voiced by just like these text-to-speech prompts for such a long time, and I think the first moment I really felt the game like becoming a real product or like seeing the full vision was the first time I heard them banter together in one of our old cave levels. It was surprisingly amazing to get in. The other thing was like when we got ambient music,
Careful here.
that was also
That
a
entire
crazy big
bridge
moment.
ahead of you is an illusion. Look behind you. Do you see that pillar and the ledge beyond it?
The one with a broken statue?
Yes. Just line up with a pillar on your left. Walk carefully towards the statue.
So yeah, if I listen
Okay.
to Abram, I'll just follow his commands.
There.
Hopefully I'm
Now
not
look
spoiling the
behind you.
best puzzle in the game
See that
for
large statue? at the
some of the
far end
people
bridge?
watching.
Line yourself
Or my
up
favorite puzzle.
directly between that and the broken statue next to you.
Alright.
Then walk straight towards the large statue until I tell you to stop. Stop! You are going to hate this. But you need to walk forward slowly until you fall.
Well. Here goes nothing, I guess. Whoa! You were right. I hated that.
I'm just relieved it worked. I can't quite see down there.
You what?
Never mind that. Just go left towards
Whoop.
the cliffside.
Well,
You're climbing up.
that was an interesting glitch I haven't seen before.
Now just walk towards that same statue. That should be the last of it.
If I plummet to my death, I'm going to haunt you.
There. Safe and sound.
Here we go.
A statue of the Lady of Artisans. Breathtaking.
She's one of the 8, isn't she?
Indeed.
Yeah, it
She
is
was
about
particularly
10 to
revered
15
here
hours,
in Haven,
the full
as
playthrough.
you'd expect for a city that prided itself in its inventors and artisans.
I'll give it to him. These are some real artisanal death traps.
The art style of Haven also went through so many iterations. I think we fully dressed the city like, I can't count how many times, like 3 or 4 times, and we completely revamped the entire look every time, because we sort of, it's always the struggle of like, you want it to feel
Hold on.
familiar
Let
in
me
a
get
sense,
across here first.
so you
Okay.
sort of believe in the architecture, but then again you don't want it to look like anything you've seen before because it's a fantasy world. So getting like striking that right balance of how it looked was pretty important to us. So yeah, that was a very iterative process.
Thanks.
Anytime. The elevator's just here. Let's see if we can get it working.
And if you've ever been to Iceland, there's a common thing I've noticed whenever I get foreign friends traveling around the country. There's this one sentence everybody likes to say, and that is, oh look, a waterfall. Oh look, another waterfall. So we really try to embody that in our game. It's a lot of waterfalls.
You know, you're a lot more useful than you like to let on.
Well, I've always found that the one thing better than being good at something is being surprisingly good at something. Hold on. Why is it...
I really need to stop giving you compliments. Come on, we'll work our way up through here.
So now we are getting into Haven proper. So like, I'm wondering how much
this
of the
is
puzzles I should
breathtaking.
show. So I feel like I'm really spoiling
Looks
a
like
lot
a
for people.
Well, yes, but... truly
I'm playing it on a
magnificent.
4070 Ti, and AMD something GPU. Can't remember exactly what it is.
Ladies'
It's a
light.
pretty
Get
high-end
behind me.
PC. Yeah,
was
Vortex is the
A
killer
defender of
of these guys. So like if you
Long dead, but
beeline the
of
Vortex in Rin's
course.
tree, that's definitely the best
The
thing
seal.
against this like
What
horde
about it?
type. So
Seal
these remnants used to be
ended the war.
like a
It
very
must have captured the
tanky,
very
ethereal
spirits of the
enemy,
combatants,
and we
held
just
them
realized when we started
all
testing
this
around
time.
that they just
and when
felt
it
so much
was
more fun
destroyed,
when you had
They were
a huge number of them,
If you're
and they
right.
were
There's
like a
going to be
weaker
more of
enemy.
those things.
It sort of makes sense. They're just a
Yes.
skeleton, so
A lot
they're only
more
held
likely
together by the seal break. So yeah, once we sort of changed that, it really helped a lot. So this is another case of where we changed the level a lot. There used to be a staircase up here, and you would just walk in directly on street level. So when I was making this, I like tried to make the block out as detailed as I could possibly get it with cubes, which to the chagrin of our artists, having to replace every single cube in there. But that really let us sort of get a sense for how the final city would look and feel, and since that was like the most important part of the Haven exploration itself, it really felt important to like over design it in white box. I know that environment artists are going to be angry at me for saying this, but I think it really helped. But yeah, the huge change we did to this was walking in street level. It felt really underwhelming when you've been like teased of what the city is going to be. So I went in and added this long suspension hallway or like staircase to be able to give you
Look at that.
a little wow moment
Haven.
where you could see into the
Slept
city.
for more than a century, but you can just feel waking up.
I think it preferred sleeping.
You know, I used to tell my daughters stories about this place.
Oh yeah? You
You can
remember
just
any
imagine
good
how
ones?
Favorites
much
were
less of
just
an impact it
famous
would be if
stories.
you were just
I tell
walk
how the
in
city was
on
built
street
in
level
and
instead of
around
getting
town.
this epic little archway here
And how
and
the heat and magma
raised
fueled
path.
the Havenites' technological achievements. Based on exaggeration, sure. But she enjoyed it.
yeah. So obviously, like you can see, the game setting is like the environments. We really wanted to be inspired by Iceland, so we do a lot with like these jagged volcanic mountains, a lot of waterfalls and other stuff like that. But pretty much the inspiration from Iceland stops with other things than just like the soft surface. So everything hard surface and like human made is pretty far removed from Iceland. Some of the like Ceruvian villages are pretty like similar or inspired by like Old Norse architecture or Viking architecture, but like I would say the civilization and the world itself couldn't be further removed from the actual like setting of Iceland. But I think we struck a pretty good balance in like bringing the environment we really love exploring around in, and just like a completely unique fantasy world, very, very far removed from real Iceland, and we sort of joined them together. I think it worked pretty well.
We should be able to pierce through from the right
Any challenges working on the levels? Yeah, like a lot, a lot of challenges. A lot of the levels were like completely remade, so we like went through pretty big changes in design throughout the just over 8 years since we started working on the project. Like when we started out, we wanted everything to be very open world, so we wanted to do like a sort of similar to the design, like the world design of The Witcher 2, where you had these like hub areas, and they sort of like open up, funnel together, open up, funnel together. Pretty soon we realized that we would probably need like 200 people to do that well. At the time we were 7, so we changed the levels into this like the gameplay became more of like a stealth game, like stealth, magic, and sword fighting. But the stealth level design with third-person sword magic swinging were very like clashing ideas, because to get the stealth feeling right, you need a lot of cover, so you need to be able to sneak around, hide from enemies, all that. And to do nice like sword combat and this like bigger, faster paced, big swings magic, you need the areas to be pretty open and the arenas to be pretty well defined. So we like found that design element really clashed. So we moved onto a much and we had jumping and all that in that version of the game. And the dagger idea is, funnily enough, from like the old stealth game. The dagger you'll get in later in the game. So we moved from that onto a way more grounded approach, I would say. And we basically removed all traversal, we removed all stealth, made it way more linear, like way more of a narrative experience. And that is actually the version of the game, like the demo that sort of secured our funding, which was super nice. But we realized we really wanted the jump in, so the jump is pretty floaty, and that is sort of on purpose to get the platforming more intense. So that again is a difficulty with level design, where we want there to be platforming, but the game is also really realistic looking. So like most of the areas are pretty grounded, I would say. Nothing's really like that weird in a sense. Like it's all pretty like you're able to believe it's realistic. So striking a balance between what my team really wants to do is just focus on gameplay first and everything else second, and then getting all the visuals looking great. We needed to get like a compromise between having sort of floaty platforming in order to do weird stuff and the more grounded levels.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest difficulties in designing levels is just making everything come together in a way that makes sense for all teams. So I heard that in the early days the studio used custom spinning system out of kitchen appliances for human scanning. Is that true? Yeah, so when we basically had one camera to do we had like one tripod with cameras. So we had, or was it? No, it was 4 cameras. So we could like get 4 stands. We could get a part of the head. So it was pretty easy for us to do like the head scanning mostly, because we mostly needed like the faces of the actors. But when it came to scanning the bodies in, there was no way to make someone stand in place and rotate perfectly so all the cameras would get them. So our CEO went to like a hardware store and bought a cheese platter, and we hooked up like a garden hose to it and a rope, and we made the actor stand in the middle of the cheese platter and then like slowly pulled the rope as we took the pictures. And it gave us like a surprisingly decent scan or likeness of the actress at the time. So, and then eventually we bought like a more expensive, fancy, automated Lazy Susan, where you just press the button and it would spin on its own. And then thankfully when our writer Magnus sold all his bitcoins, we were able to upgrade our photogrammetry studio and mocap studio, and then we were able to get the full 360 tripods everywhere, crazy amount of cameras, one shot, and you get like the entire body scanned in. That was a huge boon to the character artists, like getting a proper rig. If we had a budget, what would we add in a sequel? I think cosmetics would be really fun. We also I really want to add a bit more openness. So I don't want it to feel open world in any way, but I would want optional side content. So that could be anything from like limiting the puzzles on the main path and just adding like more open exploration and like small side stories that like impact the world, or getting some character development for the character that you otherwise wouldn't get. It's mostly like making the areas feel bigger and actually be a bit bigger. I would definitely, if we had like proper budget, I would want to try to find a way to get rid of all like blocking volumes and unnecessary blocking volumes, but that's a big challenge in and of itself. More abilities would be fun, and like possibly a bit more RPG elements, but we would have to like get to balance that. Yeah, there's a lot of fun ideas that we have floating around their head, but it would be fun to. It's definitely a lot we wanted to do, but budget constraints sort of limited the scope, and I'm really happy what we decided to like trim away and focus on, because yeah, with our incredibly small budget, I'm just amazed still to the day that we were able to fully ship a game that looks this good, in my opinion.
There's more of them.
Alright, let's not use Vortex. Whoops. Accidentally pressed the developer slow-mo button there. Yeah, I would say the best parry in the game is definitely just Abram's Light.
Does cutting them down even kill them?
I don't know. They're remnants of an age-old war.
I'm
There's no
gonna
telling
try
what
one
next.
thing. I might. No, I'll probably crash if I try to toggle the white box into this scene. So the lighting is all real time. We have no baked lighting at the moment. When I was using Unreal 4, before we migrated to 5, we also got a pipeline that just used dynamic lighting, but I felt it had a lot of artifacting, so it was a real boon to get Unreal 5, because Lumen is great. We mostly used PCGs for like procedural foliage placement and like minor debris placement. Everything else is pretty much hand placed, so there's not a lot of procedural tools that we used.
There.
I thought that bridge looked a bit too
So I
convenient.
think probably the
Looks like
collectible
there's
I
a
would
real
imagine
crossing possible.
most people in the game would have missed is if you can spot it, kudos. We try to add a bit of a statue there to pull your eye to it. But that was initially a major collectible chest, but such a high percentage of players missed it that we decided to move the major collectible chest to another location. Like moving the project between versions of Unreal was we joined the Unreal 5, like we got our hands on Unreal 5 pretty much as soon as it was possible to use it. So we have super nice contacts at Epic that were able to help us through a lot of it. Ari, our goat at Epic, he was instrumental in us being able to do this. But yeah, like it made us have to change a lot of our pipelines in a good way. So like a lot of the things we were doing were very Unreal 4 specific, but I think like hassle-wise, it was definitely worth it. So like the amount of work, the amount of pros to moving to Unreal 5 out of Unreal 4 definitely outweighed any of the like production overhead of just being in Unreal 4. So yeah, I mean it was at least very worth it for us. But yeah, it's definitely like it adds. There's different like there are different functions in C++, and the asset pipeline is completely different. The lighting pipeline is completely different. There's a lot of functions that exist and don't exist, and like stuff took a bit of time getting in. So like one of the big things we didn't have for a lot of the development was like tessellation. So we were really happy when that came back to Unreal 5. But yeah, I would say it's like today using Unreal 5, like if you were migrating from 4 to 5 now, I would definitely say it's 100% worth it, in my opinion. Three lessons about level design you would like to transmit. You know the kinds of tips you understand only after facing creative huge projects. Yeah, my biggest tip to like level designers is not to be too precious about their levels. Like the amount of levels, like you need to just test and play around, make stuff. The only way to sort of find the fun is just to make a crazy amount of stuff that you know you're not going to be able to use, and sort of expect that most of the stuff you do is going to be either really changed or not make it at all. But the stuff that makes it through is the stuff that you and other members of your team enjoyed. So like a lot of the time as well, when you're making stuff in Blockout, it's really easy for you to envision what it is, but if you don't communicate it well enough with other members of your team, stuff can be very daunting, especially like for artists to make something that, I mean, you look at it and you're like, oh, what do you mean? It's exactly this. I see it in my head, but then somebody has to make that and make sense of it. So stuff is always gonna get really changed when it goes through the whole production pipeline. Last thing for levels is having a really good foundation is really important, like when you're making the levels. So having a good block out and striking the balance between letting the artists express themselves, so like not necessarily over designing how everything's gonna look, but still putting enough breadcrumbs of like block out meshes and stuff for the artists to get the idea of what you're trying to make or what you're trying to convey is really important. And like playing through your white boxes, making sure those are solid, because if you build on a flawed base, everything else is gonna be flawed coming up. So like play test your white boxes really thoroughly and try to break them.
These solutions are remarkably convincing. Well, I can only imagine they've lured many an invader.
Yeah, definitely an illusion.
Much as I appreciate your commitment to science, it might be smart to be a little more cautious.
Yeah, I know.
Our writers really had fun
Should be just across
writing a
the-
lot of these Easter egg lines.
Would you look at that?
Let's save the cheering for when we reach the other side.
This is the main courtyard.
So I think I'm gonna just do this puzzle and then end it soon after that. Since I think my kids are waking up. One of the most satisfying things of the game is the shift. Just shifting enemies together and shifting them into apron. Still, I find it really entertaining. Yeah. This puzzle, made by our lovely tech LD, John, works really well. Happy with how it came out. I'm not gonna spoil it on this stream. I think I'm gonna just answer a few more questions with a nice vista up here. So yeah, if you have any, how many people worked on the project? So we've had a few people come and go through the years, but like we barely crawled past 40. I think our biggest number was about 42. Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, but we're like a really small team. We, for most of the development time, we were like 14, like sub 14. But after we got a publisher, that's when we were able to like fully start development on the big project we wanted, and that's when the team more than doubled in size. So we have no level streaming. No, we don't use level streaming volumes at all. We just that's what we used to do in Unreal 4. Now it's just world partition that we're using. So we are using like triggers to enable and disable data layers, but yeah, everything is done through data layers and world partition. Thank you guys so much for coming along. It's been super fun going a bit through the game, showing more of the detail. I'm gonna, as a little Easter egg, I'm gonna just try to turn on, let's see if this crashes in build. I'm gonna showing a bit how the data layers are set up. Let's see if I can let's first fly before we fall through the ground. So as you can see, like everything, so a lot of the stuff is gone. Wait, it's just let me see. I have more data layers for 5. Sadly, yeah. Wanted to show more of the, for optimization purposes, we did have to remove a lot of the blockouts, but you can see like a lot of the areas still have a few of the pieces still remaining from the blockout era. So like you try to give like scale with a few like little assets like this. So just like a simple block out fountain. We do the puzzles in white box first, and then we sort of migrate them over to orange box or set dressing, and we take them from this like gray state where everything is bare bones, bring it up to looking real nice. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna end it here with this 10 little Easter egg. Yeah. Yes, all Icelandic game devs are so good looking, yes. Frame rate, I would have to ask our systems wizard Tumi if we're gonna lock the frame rate on PS5. That would probably be nice. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna end it here. Bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to buy the game.